So I've managed to get a couple of days out in the garage at long last. Um, the amount of guests we've got staying is going to drop off over the next 2 weeks, and as I've hopefully explained to you at the beginning of this video, which I haven't actually videoed yet, we're closing for 6 months, and so I'm hopeful that I can get some time in at long last, once I've been in hospital and out of hospital, to get some progress finally on the aircraft and get it finished. That would be very nice. It would be a bit of a consolation prize for having to go and be chopped up in hospital anyway. So there we go. So I've spent a couple of days and I've done a few things which I'd been meaning to do and hadn't got around to, and I'll take you through the things that I've done. Firstly, I was not happy with the wheels. I kept looking at them, and I'm talking about the front main undercarriage. I didn't like them. They're tiny little tyres. I kept looking at them and thinking, well, I fly mostly grass strips around here, and they're not particularly flat, and they do have little holes in them, and I thought those tyres are just too small. They're going to fall down a hole. It's going to make my life difficult. They don't offer a huge amount of extra suspension if I have a hard landing or something like that. So I'd look online, and a lot of people had changed their tyres for the 5.00 times 5 ones, which are a couple of inches bigger in diameter, in overall diameter, and a little wider, different profile, a rounded profile to the top of the wheel or the tyre, rather than the flat ones that come with the kit. And so I took them off and put these on, and I'm definitely a lot happier with it. I'll just turn you around. So there are the new wheels on the new tyres. It's the same wheels, different tyres, and they look much more substantial, more in line with the size of the aircraft. They're very similar. They're very similar in size to the ones I have on my Super Gepard, which is a high wing ultralight aircraft. Well, I say ultralight, it's a little bit lighter than the Sonex, but different kind of construction, Rotax powered. So I'm happy with those. They look a lot better. I think they're going to ride the turf better, and contact the ground better as well, I think. The next thing I decided to do, which I've changed my mind several times, is the braking. I wasn't happy with the braking. I'll tell you for why. The handbrake that is supplied with the kit mounts on the left hand side of the cockpit where the pilot sits, and I was concerned about this because the throttle is also on the left, and I was concerned that if you're taxiing with a crosswind, a big crosswind, or reasonable crosswind, you want to keep the stick into the wind, and you want to be able to apply the brakes whilst you're taxiing, and you want to apply the power whilst you're taxiing, and possibly all three at the same time. I do this all the time with the Super Gepard to keep it under control. Being a high wing, it's more susceptible to getting blown over, but I couldn't see a way of actually doing that with the brake lever on the left, the throttle on the left, and the center stick on the right. So on my other aircraft, the Super Gepard, I have a Behringer pistol grip type, I don't know, well, they're sort of like the ones you have on motorbikes, mounted on the actual control stick. So I took the plunge and I bought one of those, and I'll turn you around again, and there it is, attached to the stick. Now this means that I can hold the stick, apply the brakes and play with the throttle all at the same time. Of course, if you've got toe brakes, which I don't, and I don't want them, then you don't have to worry about it. But for the standard configuration, I think this is a safer way of doing it. But to do that, I had to change the brake pipes and fittings, because as you can see, the brake pipe comes down the right hand side. I managed to get hold of these lovely fittings which rotate and also allow the brake pipe to rotate as well, which means when you're actually operating the thing and moving backwards and forwards, it's all able to sort of self-align itself up, and it doesn't stress anything. To put the pipe down the side, I just expanded on the original idea that I had, which was to put P-clips down for the press to torque cable. So I drilled them out and I put a second set of P-clips down the side to take the pipe. And then I took a lazy route, utilising some of the holes that are already there. I did put some protection around them to stop them from chafing with the vibration. Also put one P-clip in the centre of the floor just to stop everything from flying around. And then the cable comes back and will follow with the rudder pedal, and I used a P-clip on the side just to hold it still, and then it goes down to a T-junction on the right hand side. The original braking system had a T-junction on the left hand side, down through the floor to the right hand brake, and then across and down through the floor for the left hand brake. And it's pretty simple. I've changed it for metric pipe because it's easy to get hold of here. Can't get anything Imperial in France, so I've gone down to a 4mm outside diameter high pressure pipe, which is easy to get hold of, and it all seems to work well. So when you're operating the brakes, it's like that, and we do have a parking brake on the side. So when you pull it, you can press the parking brake in and it will hold, which is great. And it works, as I say, extremely well on my other aircraft. It made a huge difference to the braking. I can't tell you what a huge difference it makes, and I don't know why, but Behringer do something in that master cylinder that makes the brakes very, very progressive, and a lot easier to use. So when I swapped out the original master cylinder on the Super Gepard, I was astounded by the difference. It's like I changed everything. It was bizarre. But anyway, always used to have trouble braking the Super Gepard. It was it just didn't want to stop. And as soon as I put that master cylinder on, problem solved. Anyway, so I've done that. That was yesterday's task. And today I've kind of bitten the bullet and gone for the thing that I'd have been dreading. The canopy. I've been dreading doing this, and I've been putting it off and putting it off, and I've finally got round to doing it. And I've literally only I've spent about probably an hour on it so far. And the first job you have to do with the canopy, I've got two. When you have a kit sent overseas, they insist on sending two. It comes pre-marked up with tape with front written on it, so you know which way round to put it. And the first operation is to cut round the outside edge of the tape to get it roughly in shape, and then you have to basically mark it up yourself with tape whilst it's on the aircraft and cut it. So this seems to work well. All I've done is cramped a couple of planks of wood on a workbench 42 inches apart, which is the width of the aircraft, and the thing sits in there quite happily. To do the the two bottoms, which is what I did first, I just laid it back on its end, and it sat there between the blocks quite happily. And I've gone to do, I'm using a method which is not approved by Sonex, because I'm using my trusty Dremel with the cutting disc in the end. And where are we? There we go. And so far, so good. It's all gone swimmingly well. It cuts it quite cleanly. I noticed, actually, I mean, I think they cut them out with a bandsaw, and the sort of technique is supposed to be to use a bandsaw to do it. Well, I don't have a bandsaw, and I don't know any. Well, I do know somebody who's got a bandsaw, but it doesn't work. And to be quite honest, you need about 3 people at a minimum to handle the thing in through a bandsaw. And if the edges that were on this thing to start off with are anything to go by, the bandsaw method, it basically stresses the edge. It probably is a very coarse cut, and my canopy actually had fractures all the way along the edges. I don't know whether I can find one for you now. Let's have a look. And it's on their edge that they cut, not the one that I've just done. But it basically takes great lumps out of one side of the joint. I can't see them now. Oh, there's one. You'll be lucky if you can see this, but basically this is the edge that they did, and that's the edge that I did. I don't think it's going to focus on it. Let's try moving over here. It's trouble with transparent things. Oh, that's making it do something weird. But you might just be able to see that there is a break there. It goes halfway across the material, and it's where the bandsaw has taken a lump out of it, and there's a huge lump out. Oh, there we go. It's finally got round to focusing. Huge lump out of it there. Right, it's focusing on my hand, so if I move that back this way, where's that? Come on, focus. There it is. Now you can see it. See that? That's actually broken and started to fracture across the I'm not so sure using a bandsaw is such a brilliant idea, because, as I say, I've used a little Dremel with the cutting disc in it, and get a nice clean edge, no rough, there's no sharp jaggedy bits to it, because basically it's melting its way through the plastic, and it cleans. It's that strange light up there keeps making my camera do something. It's very easy to clean up with a bit of sandpaper and a block, and so the next task is to actually lift this thing, which is relatively easy to do on your own. I just pick it up from the middle at the top and manhandle it across. It is quite warm here at the moment. We're still in the mid-20s. I wouldn't suggest you do it if it's -5 outside, because it would probably just snap in half. But I just lift it across, and then I'll position it, put some data marks on it so I know it goes back in the same place every time, and get some tape and start taping it up and have a go at cutting it. If I get it wrong, I've got another one. Yay! I can have another go. No, I'm not going to get it wrong. So that's what I've been up to the last couple of days. What else am I looking at? I'm looking at, I've got the engine out here. You can't see it because it's underneath this cover, but I'm basically going to, as I probably said before, I couldn't get Sonex to commit to where I should put anything on the firewall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a mate to come over, and we're going to fix the engine onto the engine frame. I've just got the back plate off at the moment, just trying to work out how to mount everything. And I'm going to put the exhaust manifold on temporarily, because basically what I want to do is find out where the hell the turbocharger ends up and all the stuff associated with the turbocharger. I need to know where it is so that I can then work out where I've got space to put other things. I've also got to fabricate the turbocharger cooler thing, which is going to sit in here somewhere. And I need to know what space I've got, where I can put fixings, and without the turbocharger there, I've got no idea. It would be nice if they could give us a clue on that one, but anyway. So I'm going to quickly whip the engine on there, just temporarily, pop the exhaust on and the turbocharger, and work out what space I've got. Then I'm going to fix everything that I can onto the firewall, which will basically be the battery in this area. I'm probably going to go for the RDAC up here because I want it accessible. The coil packs will probably be down here somewhere, and I've got the regulator to lose, and possibly an earthing point. I might do that as well. I might have two actually. Might put them back to back on the firewall so that they're both connected together. But I've got some connections on the outside of the firewall and some connections on the inside of the firewall. Sounds good. And I'm still basically waiting to update you with my travels to the that's the wrong way, getting this thing in a hangar. I haven't taken it yet because due to the wildfire situation last year, they've based a firefighting helicopter at my local airport, which is where I was going to keep the aircraft. And they've got so much stuff, they filled up the part of the hangar that I was going to put the Sonex in with a load of rubbish associated with their firefighting helicopter, which so far this year, because the weather's not the same, they haven't had to go and fight any fires at all. I think they're here until October, and so what I'm thinking now is that the best thing to do is wait until they bugger off, and then I can put the aircraft in there, and get the wings on, get the cockpit finished, get the engine wired up, and fly it. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So that's where we are at the moment, and as I say, we're going to close here, so we won't be taking any B&B guests for probably 6 months or so, to allow both Katie and I to have all our hospital visits and get ourselves up to 100% again. And so I'm hopeful I'm going to get this thing finished. I'm going to do my level best to get it done, because it's taken too long and I'm fed up with it now. I want to fly it. I keep seeing pictures of people flying theirs and videos and things, and I'm getting really annoyed. So it's time to finish it, get it done. Anyway, more later.